What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cowboys Culture Podcast. We are here again just after a couple days after the new year and after winning the Lions game in Week 17. Can't believe we're on our last game of the season, but we're here. We're going to get to our sponsor really quick, who's been the sponsor the whole time, and then we're going to get into some new news, and we're going to jump right into some Cowboys content. Steven?
Yeah, 360 Roofing and Restoration. That's who you want to call for your commercial and residential roofing needs in the DFW Metroplex. So, Jacob, why don't you fill us in on the week that's been in Cowboy Land?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of stuff, had a lot of things develop this week. So for those of you who have been keeping up with things, you've probably seen that we have let a few guys go. One of those, Martavis Bryant, was one of the receivers that we just let go. There was a couple of others. I think it was like 3 or 4 guys that we cut off the practice squad. But that's not the news. The news is that we signed and brought back onto the team our good friend Lyle Collins that was with us for a number of years in the past and on the O-line.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, so we got that's a huge, even if anything else, just a depth piece there, an experienced guy who we know, he's a little bit past his prime at this point, but clearly there are other teams interested, so clearly he's still got some left in the tank, and if anything, he's just there to help out if somebody goes down. He can play guard and tackle, so always good to add a piece like that to the trenches when we try to make a push. Another thing, we signed another reunion was Damian Wilson, the linebacker. So we're going to have, hopefully have a guy that, that's one of those where I don't even know. That might be you might, if he's in shape within a reasonable amount of time, maybe put him, he might even see some snaps.
So it's kind of like I said after Ethan filled us in the other day when he came back, when they brought him back is that's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're incredible. We're like, it's just unbelievably thin at linebacker right now. So if you have an experienced guy like that who's in shape and can at least be useful for you, I think we might even see him.
Anybody who's willing to help at linebacker, you are welcome.
Yeah, and then lastly, one of the last notable signings that we had or pieces of news this week is Sir Thompson. Signed him this week to the practice squad, a running back out of Texas Tech. From what I'm seeing, it looks like he's kind of more that hard running, like big body running back type guy, power runner. So, hey, I mean, that's something we're kind of lacking at the moment as well. So maybe, I mean, I don't know if it turns into anything there, but you never know. Maybe we find a way to use him because that's a need of the team right now. So, ultimately, good week in terms of roster moves, it seems like. Added some good pieces that might help us down the stretch. And outside of that, when it comes to the injuries and things like that, we're hearing good news on all fronts when it comes to injuries. It seems like as we're going into the last week of the season, getting ready for the playoffs, that we might not have everybody available for Washington, but everybody seems like they're on track to, in terms of the core guys, to be ready for the playoffs. So, Good week so far, and no bad news, I guess, and the injuries is a positive. So
yeah, I love this time of year when everybody's kind of reassessing and kind of, they're always kind of like all these teams are kind of like grabbing like these veterans that have been kind of like waiting in the wings, trying to get on a team. Everybody's kind of going after people they know that strengthen their depth. It's always kind of a wacky time of year right here at the end when playoff teams are getting ready to go into the playoffs. But we did last Saturday night. We beat the Lions. It's a great game for us. It's a great game for the Lions. I mean, look, the Lions played like the Lions do. They're a really good team. Mm-hmm. We had a good game too. We had some of that wacky cowboy stuff happen, right? The CD touchback and everything. But speaking of CeeDee Lamb, him is here. Mm-hmm. The CeeDee Lamb is him. The way he played Saturday night, which he also broke Michael Irvin's record for most yards in a season
and receptions.
Yeah, exactly, receptions. And man, he's just unbelievable. guardable.
Yeah.
He really
Cannot
is.
be guarded. The best hope you have is to ensure that your safeties are cheating over so they can at least help tackle him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get his yak on top of that. So, there's no answer for CeeDee Lamb at the moment, and it probably not going to be for the foreseeable future. But his quarterback's playing really good too. But that's, I mean, hey, the Lions game, the ending, and you go on and on about that. I know you guys got some comments and everything, but like I'm just kind of burnt out by it. We beat a good team in a good game.
Grit comes to mind whenever I think about that win.
Grit. Yeah. Dan Campbell is famous for grit.
Yeah.
So
well, that was grit. There
It was hanging in there, going body blow for body blow with a really good playoff caliber team, not just caliber, but will be in the playoffs. Number 2 seed in the AFC.
What it genuinely came down to was our quarterback was better than yours.
Yeah.
Our wide receiver one was better than yours, and even though you've got Aiden Hutchinson just sacking Dak all over the place. We have Terrence Steele. He's terrible. So, and
we overcame that. So
and Mike and the NFL has made it very clear that you can just grab Micah by his throat and you're good.
Absolutely. But if he moves an inch, he's offsides.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can you can do all but basically shoot Micah Parsons, and you're not holding him. But I'll just recap again. I thought it was a great game. I thought it was a really good grinded out game. And you're right, Ethan. I mean, it comes down in games like that, especially I know that's not a playoff game, but it had a strong playoff atmosphere with two strong playoff teams. What'll probably wind up being both of the 2 seeds, the 2 and the 3 seed.
Yep.
You go and the way you win those games is have the better quarterback.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about it before we jumped on here. Kind of like, hey, if we are the 2 seed at the end of this, who do you want to play, the Packers or the Rams? And my immediately the Packers. I want the least experienced quarterback coming to our house.
Mm-hmm.
I want Jordan Love. I do not want a Super Bowl winning veteran coming to our house, and this is where he knows how to turn it on. As to where the lights are probably still too bright for a Jordan Love. But anyway, I'll let you guys talk about the Lions game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very frustrating because we have both the defensive and offensive player of the year on our team. It's just that the defensive player one isn't able to shine because he's held all the time, which is very, 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 very frustrating. And it's not even like that could go. It's blatant at this point because they just know they can do it, and they're getting beat every time. But anyway, I saw a little bit of that, but it's just, man, CD is just, he's so good, and that's a positive. Dak's interception was kind of a reckless thing, and that to me was a little bit, it wasn't concerning to me as much because I'm like, okay, that was just. You noticed that after that he was like lights out. He was playing extremely good. And so, for me, then, the only disappointing, part for me was maybe pass and run blocking and then our run game, But outside of that, I mean, our corners and safeties had a pick. We got after him. We shut them down in the backfield, which was huge. They said we couldn't stop the run, and we did, except for like one drive. DeMarcus Lawrence had like a career game with his stops in the backfield, and it just genuinely looked like, and I heard, we like to talk about, I always say this, we like to talk about, what's the narrative, what's the truth. Say we couldn't stop the run, and we got a lot of tackles for loss in the backfield from DeMarcus Lawrence, from Defensive Player of the Year Michael Parsons, from I think Marquise Bell had one, so it was a good game for the defense. But for me, it's like you look at that game and you're like, people say the narrative now is like, oh, they got cheated, and I don't really care to talk about that because they didn't. But we played a better football game than they did, 100%. Maybe they had a better rushing the passer day, maybe. But but in every run stopping, passing, catching, maybe not tight end because for some reason Ferguson has just been kind of ghosting lately. But I mean, in every other sense, we were the better team.
Yeah. J. Lou's best game of the year?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
dude. J. Lou actually had a really good
he really
game a
did.
couple of games ago.
Yeah.
When
He's
I think
been
was it
balling.
the Eagles game or was it the?
I'm talking about when you're playing a real quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean when I think about that game, one of the things that really stood out to me was just how good both of the defenses played.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
mean, you think about it, and it's like when we were talking about this game beforehand, we were saying this is probably going to be a shootout and a high scoring game.
It was in a sense. I know it was low scoring, but it was in a sense. It was both defenses are going to play really, really good tonight, and we saw that early on. And then it was, but which quarterback is going to play that much better?
Well, yeah, but it's just like, I don't know. I was just surprised because I was kind of expecting like a Seahawks type game where it's just back and forth, back and forth. Nobody's really punting. We're just constantly scoring, and it's like whoever has the ball last. Because these are, I mean, we know we have a really good offense, probably one of the best offenses in the league, but so do the Lions. And I knew that both of us, our defense had a lot of injuries, especially, losing Hankins, and you got a team like the Lions with that run game and that O-line. So I was expecting a lot of scoring, but what we saw, like Ethan said, was, number one, our defense stood up to the challenge, essentially shut them down the majority of the game, right? They had that last drive, which, we can talk about how that shouldn't have even been a drive. The game should have been over, but man, our defense had, even despite the injuries, and even despite going against a bad matchup in the sense that, they are really strong on the O-line and running the ball, and that's been kind of our, weakness, or our, the one thing that we can't do is stop the run. But, man, we stood up at a huge moment, and so hats off to the defense for that. But, yeah, overall, I think when it comes to most aspects of the game, I know that the Lions, you're going to see the narrative in Detroit and all the Detroit fans. I have a couple really close friends that are Lions fans, so as you can imagine, I've been hearing about it, is that they got robbed and things like that. But really, when you look at that game and how it unfolded, and, there's going to be 50-50s that go either way, and unfortunate things here that happen, and fortunate things that happen. I think that thankfully, overall the refs weren't super involved, so it wasn't one of those games where it was like each team, there's like 20 penalties and stuff like that. For the most part, the refs let everybody play, and I think it was
unless you did something illegal, they let you play.
Yeah, I think it was pretty balanced in that sense. But I think for everybody out there, and I know you guys didn't really address it, but I'll touch on it a little bit. For everybody out there that's saying that the Lions got robbed. I get it. It's unfortunate. It sucks to lose. Like, it sucks that that's how the game had to end. But that's not where you lost the game. The bottom line is, we all know. First off, if CeeDee Lamb doesn't fumble on the 5-inch line and it bounces in the end zone, this isn't even a game at that point. Number one.
Yeah, you were about to get blown out.
Number two, when you throw the ball, when you are down by 3 with 2 minutes left in the game and you throw an interception in your own territory, everybody in that stadium, everybody in Detroit, including Jared Goff when he was leaned over on the side, knew that game was over. The only reason you had a shot was because Mike McCarthy, and this is the one bad thing that I have to take, the one bad takeaway outside of our run game, which I will say, if we're going to make a significant push in the playoffs, we are going to have to figure out something to run. And I'm not fully blaming this on Pollard or Rico. I do think that our O-line is just so inconsistent when it comes to run blocking, and sometimes in the pass game as well.
We can't run between the tackles.
But Mike McCarthy's game management reared its head again and almost cost us the game. I get it. We were in a bad situation. It was like 1st and 25, and we really needed to get the first down or at least get closer. But under no – like, you could – in that situation – like,
well, we got that tripping call.
Yeah.
Strip.
Which I'll talk about in a second. But that game management, throwing the ball, throwing incompletions, like, the only thing you can't do in that situation is throw an incomplete. You can fall you can take a sack. I don't care what you do. But you can't throw an incompletion like that And that ultimately is the primary reason why they even had a minute plus to go in the game to go have that final drive. But yeah, so I'm like, ultimately, when it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the game and you have 13 points, you don't have the right to say we deserve to win this game. You don't deserve to win this game. You got shut down the majority of the game, and then you throw an interception on top of that. The only reason you had a shot is because you got gifted it. And then if you want to say, well, the ref's still at the end, again, and you're going to say it's rigged, well, explain to us when Aiden Hutchinson decides to try to trip our player and we get called for a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
And then after you even get that questionable penalty that cost you the 2-point conversion, it's rigged, but somehow Micah gets called in the very next play for a penalty that gives you an not just one but another chance to get a 2-point conversion to win.
You
it.
had every opportunity to win that game, and you lost.
And let's not what did Goff do? He had 2 chances after that first one. The first one he throws to the defense. The second one he throws to the dirt.
Yeah.
And so you cannot blame this one on the refs, especially when everybody's saying, "Oh, Decker reported." It doesn't matter. The refs told the defense the wrong number. So whatever happened, there was a confusion, and the defense had no idea the dude was eligible. So you're essentially saying that you're mad that
it was a mistake that you could have corrected and you didn't, and you tried to get away with it and you didn't.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I get it, but it's like at the end of the day, it's a very unfortunate situation. But if the defense doesn't know if that player is eligible, you can't. It's a disadvantage. You can't win like that. And if you want to win like that, that's cheating.
Yeah, that's cheating. And when Chuma Edoga didn't even catch the ball against the Eagles, which we should have won, and we got cheated. We actually got cheated because he checked in, and then all he did was block, and we got a touchdown, and they called it back. So, listen, the refs aren't just pulling for the Cowboys. They're just dumb in general. And actually, you guys tried to get away with it, and then blamed the ref when you didn't get it. So. I mean, it was like you said, it was a hard-fought game. We had the better team. We had the better players, and we won. And we are now sitting pretty to win the NFC East. And the Cheeksels are they choked.
Golly, I mean
the Cheeksels,
just terrible.
Yeah, they're bad, man.
Brutal.
They're bad. You would say you do look at it and say, like, okay, we've always thought Jalen was the problem. Jalen has been a lot of their problem, and he continues to be, just awful. But as a football team, they are not good.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen a defense that bad.
And now people are like, is Dak? They always say at the beginning of the season, Jalen's just a better quarterback. Jalen had a above average year. He outside of that has been horrible, and just terrible. Yeah. So let's stop putting him in the top 10 things. Let's stop putting him in top 15, top 20. He is a replaceable person who needs to be on his way out, but y'all paid him.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is going to find himself very Carson Wentz-esque.
It looks exactly the same.
Well, once
trying to stay in the league.
Once he doesn't have like a superstar at every single position on his offense.
But he has had it lately.
I know,
and he's
that's
been
what
terrible.
I'm saying. But I'm saying, he's not even playing great with that. Imagine when he has a situation because of his contract.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it just proves us right.
Yeah, we don't need to get on. We don't need to talk too much about the Eagles.
Yeah,
They're terrible.
We would be remiss if we did not shout out Eagles.
You got to say something because all the media does is worship them all day. Yeah. So it's at least
Well, hey,
it out.
Really quick, guys. So, we are reporting eligible for the playoffs, and the Eagles are by the skin of their teeth. It looks like, but I said a few weeks back, that it would just be the collapse of all collapse if the Eagles somehow screwed this up, being up 2 games at one time.
Yeah.
And they somehow choke this division out. It looks like that's going to happen. It looks like the Eagles are going to do Eagle things.
Now, we can't overlook Washington.
We cannot.
As much as we destroyed them, we can't overlook them.
Well, Ethan, we'll play that game in D.C., and the Cowboys can't win on the road. So, that it could get interesting. So, I fully expect it. We can skip today. We can skip all the what's your predictions and all that because we're going to go out there and obliterate them. All right, that's just what's going to happen. We're going to obliterate them. But hey, even if we don't, we can always rely on the Eagles to lose.
Yeah,
right?
they're going to lose.
And if the Eagles lose to Tyrod Taylor, we said it before we came on here. Fully expect the Eagles to lose at this point.
They're going to lose.
So Tyrod Taylor's back
because they're in the playoffs and they know they're going to get the 5 seed, so they're probably not going to play as hard. They're going to lose. They're going to 100% lose.
So even if we lose and then the Eagles lose, we're still the 2 seed. But I do fully expect us to take care of business up there. It is a business trip of business trips to go up there and just control our destiny and be that number 2 seed. If that is to happen, which is just so likely, if the season ended right now, that whole game, right? If the season ended right now, Green Bay's coming to Dallas wild card weekend.
Yeah, I need to look more into and I probably should have before we got on here, but I wanted to know like if whatever happens to this weekend changes, what needs to happen to make us play the Rams or the Packers or the Seahawks. I think if Green Bay loses,
because
then we play the Seahawks.
Green Bay is playing the Bears. LA is playing the 49ers. I think as of right now we're projected to play Green Bay.
Yeah.
But I think if Green Bay wins, which they're projected to, and LA loses, which obviously they're playing the 49ers. But again, the 49ers already clinched, so you never know. I think they'd be tied.
But they're both resting. So if the Rams are both resting, even the backups of the Niners, I'm picking them over the backups of the
So it's
Rams.
like I think it's probably going to be if that unfolds that way, I think their records would be tied, in which case I think the Green Bay would have the advantage, but I'm not sure on that because I saw something that said like the most likely scenario was that we play the Rams. That was like 30%.
That we play the Rams?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But that might be wrong.
I hope not. Because again, there's something about these veterans, these quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls.
They get it going in the playoffs.
When the lights are on, they're used to that. As to where a Jordan Love, this would be
he'll throw 3 interceptions.
First experience with that, he would probably be a little shaken up.
He'll play for the Dallas Cowboys that week.
Yeah. So as to where Matthew Stafford's going to give you everything he's got, and he's still got a lot
and
left.
He's still got 2 good weapons, or at least 1.5. Cooper Kupp's a bit deceiving.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think here it is. We if everything goes to plan, we finish this season 12-5. Another 12-5, season, which is great. It's fantastic. That's enough for the number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs, which is fantastic. Whoever we play in the wild card round, we need to obliterate them. Mm-hmm. We need to see Detroit again, or whoever's going to show up.
We need to get rolling.
It looks. Man, as I look at it, whoever that first opponent is, just must win. Absolute must win. Just no questions asked. Must win. If that's not a victory, change.
Yeah,
all right. Whatever that looks like, do something different. Yeah. Because this is. I was explaining to Jacob today, just kind of like talking about, even old times, pre-DAC era and everything. It's like this is what we do year after. Outside of a Romo being injured for the season or a Dak being injured for the season, this is pretty much the Dallas Cowboys on par every year. All right. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 seeds in the playoffs. We've had our 5 seeds and everything. We've had our get in on the last day of the seasons, when Romo was really young. But we consistently make the playoffs with healthy quarterbacks and good coaches. And we just, for going on, I think 28, 30 years, we have not gotten to the game that you have to win to get to the game. You at least got to get there to give yourself a puncher's chance. Yeah. And it's just been too long. We're the wealthiest, sports organization in America. We have our quarterback playing at an MVP level. We're the best receiver in the NFL. and we have one of the best defensive players that might have ever been born.
Yeah.
So
I think that if we can get to, I think that there's no reason we shouldn't get to an at least an NFC.
You're going to get 2 home games to try.
Well, especially if you get the 2 home games.
If we play the Rams, we already saw that. We already know what that looks like. If we play the Packers, they barely beat us, and CD had a day on Jair last year. And their team is worse this year, and they had Aaron Rodgers last year. And Aaron Rodgers just doesn't like to lose to the Cowboys. So with Jordan Love, I don't think they can beat us. If we get even, it's this game that we played against the Lions and even the Dolphins game just so deceiving. We should have blown both of those teams out. Even the Dolphins game that we lost when Lepke dropped the ball. CD dropped the ball on the goal line. You're down 14-3 in AT&T Stadium against the Cowboys. You're gonna get blown out. That's bottom line.
Yeah,
and you know who we did blow out? The Rams.
Yeah.
So even if we play like they said, we'll see y'all again. We want to see the Cowboys again. Trust me, right now, you don't want to see us in AT&T Stadium ever again. You don't.
I do.
So,
I do say this. I'll say this.
I'm confident, though.
Yeah, I will say this. As we're talking playoffs and everything, and the way things could shake out. If it is Green Bay in the beginning, I'm not worried about Green Bay whatsoever. Just not. All apologies to Green Bay. You're just not the Aaron Rodgers Green Bay anymore.
Yeah.
Not that Jordan Love probably doesn't have a nice little career ahead of him. He's probably got a very Jared Goff-esque career ahead of him. I saw him play in college at Utah State. They came to Death Valley one time, and we of course drilled them. LSU drilled them, but they were that dude. You could tell back then that dude could play.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, Jordan Love.
Okay.
And but anyway, should we see him in the first round of the playoffs? I mean, I really do think at home we're going to crush them. I think CD has a playground type day.
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
I would expect this. I would expect what happened Saturday night was Detroit probably just punched their ticket to Dallas in round 2.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, either that or it's Stafford because they, the Rams could beat the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I think that's a tall task.
But the Lions give off that, hey, this is our first time in the playoffs, first round exit type vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We just got to the playoffs. The first time we've got to the playoffs, and since anybody in the organization has been alive, and I know it's an exaggeration, but I'm just saying. It's been a really, really long time to make it to the playoffs, and that kind of brews first round exit. You got here next year, maybe you'll make it a little farther, and
maybe a rookie year Russ, Seattle shows up.
But then on the flip side, it's like that stadium's probably going to be hot.
Dude.
That stadium's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking they're going to.
They're just so good. I mean, they really are. As far as the NFC is concerned, they're the third best team in the NFC, and I think that's kind of hands down. I think it's the top 3 and everybody else.
Whenever you, but if they do, if the Rams come and see us, we're going to kill them. If the Lions come and see us, I said this the moment the game ended. We should have not only won. Well, we did. Even though we won, we should have won by at least 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's kind of not even really your opinion, right? I mean, those scores were there, and we walked our way out of them.
Jared Goff throwing a pick, which I'm telling you, he's going to do it again. I mean, that's what he does actually. Mm-hmm. We should have capitalized on that one he threw on their own. Or maybe they did or something. Maybe that was the Cooks touchdown or whatever, but we could have capitalized way more than we did, and we should have won by at least a touchdown given the clock management thing, but it's whatever.
Yeah, no, don't let 20-19 fool you. I mean, we are the better team, and like I said, when it's in the playoffs like this, it all comes down to who's the best quarterback on that field that day. And for a lot of the teams in the NFC playoff picture, Dak Prescott is going to be that guy for most of those days. And then, the number 1 seed, don't even sit around and try to pretend like that dude's better than Dak.
Yeah.
They're just a really good team around him.
Speaking of that, I wanted to, we didn't really talk about this, but, Pro Bowl selections are in.
Yeah, Deron Bland, it's so awesome.
Now we've got 2 All-Pro corners on our team.
It's so awesome. And, it's so awesome what Deron Bland was able to do this year.
He's still working out the kinks, though.
Yeah,
he's still working out the whole.
I've said
he's just like Diggs, though.
He plays like Diggs for sure, but anybody who plays for Al Harris is going to play that way. They're going to play in that hawk type way. They're going to play. Like I told you guys before, Al Harris says, I don't coach defensive scheme. That's on cue.
Yep, that was so awesome.
I put my guys, my secondary, I put them in a position to take the ball away. And that equals ball hawks, and Deron has just followed suit right behind Diggs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's been a great year for him. But yeah, I have also said too, and this is hard to explain to where people can understand it, but like Deron Bland is not as good as he looks. You know, it's just I don't want to say it's a lucky season or anything, but he's good. He's not as good as it looks like he is.
Yeah, Diggs is that dude.
Well, because Diggs took that second. Yeah. So Diggs had that crazy interception season, and he got all the he was criticized for the coverage, letting up the big plays. Yeah. But then you look at the next season, he started actually locking dudes down, and he's not giving up anything. So it's like we'll have to wait to see and see if Deron does the same thing. If he does, then it's like okay, yeah.
And we got to get Stephon stay.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point right there. Is like if Dallas were to find a way to sign Deron Bland, I think he does he have 5 pick sixes this year? Sure, I just think is he a 5 pick 6 corner? He's not really. I know it sounds strange, but what I'm just adding to your point is that expect him, if he stays and he stays with Al Harris and he stays with Q, please stay Q, but Dan Quinn, please do not ever leave. But I think you're going to see the maturation of like what's going to be a Hall of Fame type corner, because Diggs is certainly on his way there. Should he come back with the way he was playing before he left?
Yeah, but and then obviously Zach Martin just every time he decides not to retire, he's going to be an All-Pro.
Yeah.
I think barring any injuries, I think Tyron Smith should have been in the Pro Bowl because of just how awesome he's playing. I also think Tyler Smith was the biggest snub in Pro Bowl selections.
Actually, no. D-Law.
D-Law was a big snub.
D-Law,
that was huge.
Man, the thing about D-Law is like he goes so under the radar nowadays because when Micah got here, well, it's like I will say in the defense of those who are non-D-Law believers, is Micah makes him better.
Yeah.
And maybe that plays into it.
Some of that, Brian Broaddus
was so nasty against Detroit.
Brian Broaddus was talking about some of the stuff that he does, just like instinctually, like being able
he's a football player,
being able to read offensive line, like every piece of body language on an offensive lineman, and just get in the backfield. Dude, that dude was having a day. He's had a couple of those this year.
DeMarcus Lawrence has, on many occasions this year, almost taken the handoff.
Yeah. Obviously, he got snubbed, but obviously you have the best kicker in the NFL, Brandon Aubrey, the best punter in the NFL, Brian Anger. Who else do we got? We got the best defensive player of the year, Micah Parsons, or should be, barring any major holding issues. And then obviously the offensive player of the year, CeeDee Lamb, who should be the offensive player of the year, and the best receiver in the NFL, CeeDee Lamb. Am I missing anybody? Dak Prescott?
He's
the best quarterback in the NFL.
He's done well. He's
it's hard to say that Tyreek isn't the offensive player of the year.
Yeah,
but CeeDee's having an incredible year.
He's been hurt.
But
and the reason why they were going to give him that was for the 2000 season, and CeeDee's like right there with him.
Yeah. I think the NFL is clamoring to give Lamar the MVP,
which
okay?
is dumb.
Yeah.
Dak is better. Dak is better in every other position except for rushing and rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, and which
And he
that's
has more total
which that's all
touchdowns.
Lamar does. But
And he has more total touchdowns than he does.
But yeah, and but it's it's almost an anti-Dak Prescott award.
Yeah.
They
It's
will
unfortunate.
find a way not to give Dak Prescott the MVP. And if it's
They
rookie
even
of the year,
had the gall to put Purdy as the first and Dak as the runner-up and
You got to because of seeding and all that. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, we know what it is. I mean, look, Dak is a better quarterback. Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. And if anybody thinks any different, you do not understand football.
and Lamar and everybody else you're thinking about right now. The only person that he's not like actually better than is Patrick Mahomes. Just Patrick Mahomes doesn't have a flagpole throw at.
Yeah, I mean, and there's arguments for the other two that everybody put on high. Obviously Allen's had sort of a down year and Burrow's hurt for the year, but like, those are really, 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 really exceptional quarterbacks. But yeah,
Dak's right there.
Dak is right there with them too, and quite frankly, this year he's been right there, if not better than Mahomes. Let's just face it. So, but yeah, I mean, all that being said, man, I'm fired up for these playoffs.
Big time.
Again,
Fired up to see us score 5 touchdowns Sunday or
'cause
Saturday, whenever.
you cannot look past Washington. You got to win that game to just cement the 2 seed and cement those home games.
Games will be played at the same time
Well,
again.
if
so
we
nobody just rests.
lose to the Commanders, I have zero confidence in us and
Sure.
anything in the playoffs because you know how much this game means. You know how much we struggle on the road. You know how much success we have at home. You have to if you're Mike McCarthy. Like I mean, I don't even know. We don't deserve to go to the NFC Championship if we can't beat the Commanders in a game like this.
Well, yeah, you don't.
Or the Super Bowl for that matter.
Yeah, because I think it's, when it was looking like we were going to be the 5 seed, I was like, hey, that's great. Let's go out there and just get just monkey stomp somebody on the road, because we're going to have to go on the road throughout these whole playoffs. We've now, the Eagles are who we thought they were, and we're going to be the 2 seed, it looks like. And it's so important for us to play at home. So I'm really looking forward to the playoffs at this point, and I will say this again: if we do not make that third game, we just got to re-examine this thing. I mean, regular season champions.
We just have too much talent to do that.
Has just it's a plague around this franchise. It's weird because when you're a Cowboys fan, you take Detroit, right? They're all hyped up. We talked to Marissa from the Heard That podcast last week. She's just excited to have a winning season and win in the division for the first time in 150,000 years. Detroit, the Detroit Lions, and but we're the Cowboys. We win the NFC East all the time.
We have a winning record every year.
We win double-digit games year in and year out. And guys like us sit around and talk about how awesome our players are, and then they just can't get their legs under them in the playoffs. And we're 28 years removed from an NFC championship game appearance. So for me, it's we've had 4 years of McCarthy, and now we've had a year of McCarthy for calling plays. You say what you want about that. I think Dak Prescott, kind of pads what actually is happening there. We can go on and on about that. But for me, it's just I need to see something else if we're not going to at least get to the game that you play to get to the game. So that's it for me today.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. We can wrap up unless you guys got anything else.
Good, man.
Well, hey guys, thanks for watching this far. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of controversial stuff, a lot of important stuff coming up, playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But we thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more stuff about the Cowboys and from Cowboys culture. And if you just like the 3 of us, hey, subscribe, give us a like. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. Be waiting for our Reels and our TikTok videos, and comment and tell us what you think, Lions fans or whoever it may be. And we'll see y'all later.
Congrats, Jimmy Johnson.